Welcome to Mythopoeia, Episode 6. My name is Chris.
I'm Jim.
Oh,
Yay!
we
I'm a
are
Jim.
finally caught up. I don't know what we're
Whee!
caught up to, but we are there in the caught up manner.
Yes! Yes!
So, we have been designing some villains for this superhero world we are designing slowly and surely.
The Tempest.
And we are still planning on doing things for Mutant Masterminds, Savage Worlds, and Icons. And since I've
Yes.
been working on, masks, and masks is really easy to make things on, I might just throw that in there,
Yeah.
but we'll see. So, we've done some villain groups, some powerful beings. What we're going to do this time is
Independent villains?
solo villains, independent, what you want to call. Now, it's more that they might work for other people, but they operate alone also. They don't have organizations behind them. They don't have minions. But they might work with other supervillains on like a case by case manner.
Sure. Absolutely. So, we've got, what, five?
We got five.
Alright, let's get into it. Shall we go with the good old classic first?
Sure, I'd like to see which one you're considering classic.
I'm gonna go with Revenant.
Okay. Revenant is a character that gets used in my games a lot. I didn't really originally design the Revenant, but I have made so many versions of it using different aspects, everything from time to just regeneration. We're going to do this here. Now, back in the story, we kind of mentioned what we're going to be doing with, oh, I can never say its name.
Chernobyl.
Pepiot? Pepiot. Pepiot
Pepiat.
was the city.
Yep.
It's a city that is stuck in time in Russia. It is stuck in 1988, is that right? I
Yeah, I think
believe I
so.
said 1988. But the Revenant was a young or military officer that was there, but is no longer in the city. And she is still stuck in time. So every minute or two, she just resets herself.
Right.
She always reforms whatever you did, she is back. She always wears the same clothes, always has the same hair, because after a minute or so, she's back to whatever state she was. Now you can move her. That is the difference. You can put her in different locations,
Right.
but she
Uh,
herself is always back how she was a minute ago.
yeah. And so, crazy. Um, really wanted to go with the, monster serial killer kind of person.
She is completely unhinged by the powers, the experiences. She is kind of stuck in this loop that she can't get out, and in that time, it has broken her mind. One of the things that has not regenerated.
Right. Her sanity did not come back with her mind. Um, not to say that she's stupid, but she's just unhinged, like you said.
She's even though her body regenerates, she always comes back. She is self-aware of everything, so she knows what's happened. It's just all of the effects are gone.
Yep. Uh, Again, I think for for this kind of character, um, it's the person who doesn't care what you do
Mm-hmm.
to a most degree. Um,
And certain superhero games, depending on what we'd like in Mutes or Mastermind, she would actually have almost virtually no parry or dodge. She will take the hit to get the strike.
exactly. Um, and to some degree gets off on it. I think because in those instances she's different.
Mm-hmm. Now, the thing about the minute, that actually might change. Like in Meets the Masterminds, it would probably be a just a regeneration like every turn or stuff like that. The minute is just an example.
Right. Um, but her body is stuck in that moment.
Hmm.
Um, and she can't quite get out. So, she doesn't want to be this way, really.
Hmm.
Um, but I figured she started killing people because she became fascinated by passing on.
Yeah,
So
we're
that
like
weird thing of looking into someone's eyes when they die.
kind of like a little side effect with that regeneration, her resetting. When she resets, she's always got an like a air in her lungs. So if you put her underwater, she is constantly drowning and constantly not.
Right,
She's just coming back with air and air and air, but she always has that effect of drowning.
right, right. Which would be, awful for her. But she's kind of a monster anyway. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I have a specific agenda for this character. I think you could do a lot with it as a game master. You could tell a story with it about her trying to find some measure of rest, or you could just use her as a serial killer, or you could um, have the player characters explore her origins and try to, put her to rest.
Might have to eventually go back to, Chernobyl, something to do with that.
Yeah,
It'd be a side
abs-
effect with that story, with that city stuck
absolutely.
in 88.
Maybe the only way to stop her is by going back there or taking her back there. Um, yeah. So there you go.
Second person we have is, don't really have a name for this one yet, but we kind of mentioned the group, the Ujai.
The Ujai Cartel.
They basically are drug dealers that can steal powers from enriched,
Or turn them
trained,
into batteries.
or turn into batteries. Well, an alien showed up. The alien was captured by them. That
They
alien had
tried to turn
powers.
they tried to turn it into a battery.
The thing is, her powers were not quite the same. So when it drained, it left a hole in her that now she can only survive by draining herself, draining other people.
Herself. Right.
Now, quick
So
thing:
psychic vampire?
does she only drain the rich, or can she drain anyone?
I think she can drain anyone, but I think she gets probably actually satisfaction or only truly ever full
Hmm.
by draining an enriched person. So she probably hunts them.
So maybe she can feed on like just some of the base radiation people, and enough to survive and not to thrive.
Right.
So
So yeah,
she's not completely evil. She never wanted to be evil. Just kind of
she wants to live.
wants to live, and now will do what she needs to survive for herself.
And the whole thing of like, she may not want to do bad things, but she can only starve herself for so long before the hunger takes her over
Hmm.
and makes her feed,
So
sort of.
we don't really have a name for that one right now. She's just enriched vampire alien. That's good.
Um, I, one of the things I like about this is she while she hates the Uji cartel, they don't hate her really because she's still hunting the enriched, and their thumbs up to that, right? Like,
Yeah, that definitely works.
uh,
Um, the next one we have is Granite. Granite is going to be the Hulk slash Solomon Grundy.
Earth Spirit of Rage and Fury.
Either possibly somehow connected to a bunch of miners that died in, we'll say, 78. Just a raw bag of a raw pile of stone and rock that
Yep.
is imbued with hatred.
Fury. Yeah. Yeah.
It itself doesn't plan, doesn't even show much interest in it. Though occasionally it might. We haven't completely got into this one yet. So like,
Again, I think that's something for the game master to play with. Like you could do a whole series of stories about him or it or her or whatever.
mhm.
It depends on how detailed you want. Do you just want something that is a one-time Hulk monster attacks a city, or do you want something to have a little bit more focal attention of the story?
Mhm. Go a bunch of different ways with that one.
Yep. You can go a bunch of different ways with that one. That's actually why I like it. I sort of like the idea that it shows up out of the earth as sort of in sort of urban legend.
Okay.
Nobody knows why or where it appears, but when it does,
And just like the kind of the things it is based on, immensely strong, might be the strongest thing in the game, and immensely durable, but not
right,
unbeatable.
not unbeatable, but definitely that thing of like, I like that sort of urban myth about it. Like people, and there's been incidents of it being put down, but
Mhm.
it falls into piles of rock and then maybe isn't seen again for 15 years. And when it comes back, it doesn't come back in the same place.
And maybe not even made of the same material.
Maybe not even made of the same material, right? Um, but it has some sort of common characteristics, like you can hear the howling miners around it, or whatever we go with.
Hmm.
Again, game master latitude there. Whatever kind of story you want to tell about it. I like that one.
Okay. The fourth one we're going to talk about also doesn't quite have a name, but the key behind this one was a water manipulator.
Yes.
So I started thinking, so we're going to actually connect this one to the Kursk, the Russian Kursk, the Russian submarine that sank. Started out as a Russian sailor on that died. Well, I did take the back. He never actually died. He became enriched and has survived. The ability to control water, um, with the resistance, kind of like that, kind of the typical maybe Aquaman slash Submariner, strong and tough, but much more water manipulating. It spent a couple years after that just hunting anything Russian. It was enraged. After a couple years, though, it got tired of that. He got tired of that. It was not fulfilling. His rage was gone. He ended up hooking up with some members of an environmental group. You can name whatever you want him to be, or use the real world version. They would go on ships. They would stop whalers. They would stop various people like that. And he appreciated them. He liked their goals. He liked their passion. Something happened, maybe fire on the ship, maybe another ship attacked it, people were killed. He got upset again. Now he is an environmental extremist.
Yep.
He goes after those that exploit the water, the oceans.
Yeah. Garbage dumps, all that stuff. Probably one of the things he did was like um, scoop up all that trash out of one of the oceans and dump it on land. or force it onto land somewhere,
Hmm.
causing like a huge disaster.
So yeah, just uh, just the extremist character. Definitely has motivations you can understand. Just takes it too much and too violently.
Yep, it goes too far. And again, you could do all kinds of weird stuff with that. Maybe he's built an Atlantean city. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he, is friends with the dolphins. Who knows? Um, but I like the idea of a character who, was a vengeance character, but sort of
Burnt out of it.
burnt out of it. Figured out that, I mean, he sort of did it, and it didn't bring him the peace he thought it would. And so now he needed a cause.
Hmm. So he can use it different ways. Generally, though, I have a feeling he's not the kind you want to betray. So the supervillains that might be the ones at higher groups, higher villains, that betraying at the end, he's not the one you want to do that. He holds grudges.
Yes, you don't do that to him. You maintain your bargain. And he probably has that sense of honor himself. Like,
Hmm.
if he actually makes a pact with you, it's a pact made. I
Probably
like that.
has the various restrictions, like, got some rules he himself follows.
Yes. Yes. I like that.
So the fifth is one we've actually talked about a good amount. We've decided on, and really follows one of the systems we put into place about magic. He's a magician. His name is Sway. So we mentioned the magic in this world is based on
Significance.
significance. Either, you 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 believe in America, so you have powers of America, which is then drained when you're not doing that. He is a magician that embodies gangsters and American love of criminals.
American crime.
He controls the Midwest,
Chicago, particularly.
Chicago, but all the way down to New Orleans. He various cities that has influence he controls, but he's not that way. He does not really have gangsters himself. He's basically the capo supreme. He is the one that everyone cuts money to.
Yep.
And particularly in Chicago, if you have a job, you have to get it approved.
Right.
Crime goes through him.
Yes. So yeah, most of the Midwest and ties to most crime families everywhere, or criminal organizations pay him some kind of homage, money wise, kickback cut. There are a few exceptions to that rule. The UJ cartel does not, so that's a thing. And then the Peril Stream will pay him when they do stream jobs in his territory, but they don't owe him any kind of actual ability.
So one of the big issues is singularity.
Yes.
Singularity, as we've kind of talked through stuff, basically has his own territory and city that used to be called Las Vegas. Which, urban legends and everything like that, has a serious criminal organization in, which it does not exist anymore.
Right.
Sway and Singularity do not get along. Singularity actually stays out of certain places because he does not, or it does not want to deal with Sway.
Right.
It might not be able to destroy Sway, but Sway has no influence in Singularity's territory because one, it's not the United States anymore.
Uh, right. And two, he's made order out of it, just total order.
Hmm.
Or it has made total order
So, yep,
out of its small nation.
they stay out of each other's ways, but there's definitely a conflict there.
there's definitely conflict, and I think probably Sway knows ultimately that Singularity is out to conquer. And you know, American crime lords love America.
Yes.
There is that weird thing, right, of some level of patriotism, even despite their criminality.
Mhm. Which,
Um,
if it's true or not, doesn't matter because that is the view of it. So
right,
he follows it. He has to.
right. That's the myth. Um, yeah,
So, yeah, he's Sway, powerful magician. Think he could probably hold his own, but my general kind of view of him is almost a look at the shadow. Darkness and cloaks and guns,
yes,
but there's teleportation and the ability to just appear. That's
right.
obviously teleportation, but
And he doesn't have. One of the things we wanted to do with him is he has minions that work directly for him, but not like I
they
don't know.
they generally work through other people that he might bring in, but he generally doesn't bring in people.
Right,
He is the boss. They follow him. If there's a problem, he goes and deals with the problem.
right. His assistant that all criminal masterminds, have is just a magical construct,
Yeah.
that he's animated. So, we can come up with a weird name for them, but just as something that he's animated and made embody, that role,
Hmm.
the second man or whatever.
So, yep, that is our Sway. Embodies criminals and gangsters
In America,
in America.
specifically American
Primarily,
crime. Because I don't
Chicago.
think other nations have our weird um, celebrity criminals thing that started with gangsters and prohibition.
Oh, it's even before that.
Yeah, it's probably
Jesse
even before
James.
that. Jesse James, yep, exactly. Right. We
So,
like to
yes.
popularize criminals.
So that is Sway. He'll be a major influence, but it's if you get into his area, just mess with his stuff, he'll get upset. But most of the times he'll let it go unless it's something important or if you're a criminal and you do stuff without his permission.
Yeah, you don't do stuff without his permission. And generally, he probably doesn't care one way or the other. He's probably more about the criminals like, I don't care, you pay me your 10%. Oh, the good guys busted up your drug ring? I don't care, you give me your 10%.
Yeah.
Or, whatever that is.
So that was 5 solo villains to add to the 10 villains/organizations we've already described. So you know what I think it's time for?
What?
Maybe some either neutrals or maybe a hero or two. Now,
Yeah,
my general thought is there shouldn't be that many heroes, or then the player characters don't matter as much.
right. But you still want them to have allies and someone to interact with on an on-hostile level.
Mhm.
And so I think next session we'll present 4 or 5 of those, either neutral or hero organizations or people, solos. Um, and then after that, we'll get down to the nitty gritty and start making some stuff system
Oh,
wise.
tell you, I've been reading through Savage World Superheroes.
Woo!
Indeed. Um,
So
you'll see stuff below us, below us, below us.
you should check it out.
One of those is Patreon. I just want to point out. So far, me and Mark have put a couple just weekly roundup things on there. And
Absolutely.
after this week, I'm going to try to get Shane so we can talk about his game a little bit and
Do
my,
that as Patreon.
yep, on Patreon.
Yeah, I think the other thing we're going to do for this, and we've talked about this before, is we'll go back and talk about how we're going to staff people out, sort of, but we will actually make those PDF versions of those characters available for Patreon. peeps. So
Indeed.
try to give you guys some bonus content.
So, yep, everything below us. And bye bye.
Wait, wait,
Oh,
wait, wait. One last thing. If you want us to do one of the specific things that we've talked about in this 3 episodes or the next one, hero wise, let us know in the comments below. You're welcome, Internet.
and naive. Bye bye.